welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today I'm going to be testing out AI Mesh using my Synology NAS hooked up to my AI Mesh node. It's got link aggregation on this node hooked up to my Synology NAS. And we're going to take a quick look to show you my test setup. So you can see in my Synology interface, it has the bonded, and in my router management for the AI Mesh node, which is this one, that we have link aggregation turned on, and we're going to do some testing. All right, the first test is a LAN connection. So I have it hooked up via LAN, and we're going to be copying it into my NAS here and paste. So I'm only expecting 100 megabytes per second, which is to be expected over a single LAN port, even with link aggregation, and directly connected to the AI Mesh node, which is directly connected to the NAS. So this is just to see how stable the speed is, and it verifies a thought of mine that a device connected to the AI Mesh node connected to another device on the AI Mesh node would probably directly connect to each other as opposed to having to route through the main router. All right, next we're going to go and do the same test via Wi-Fi. I'll see you in a second. All right, we're connected via Wi-Fi, and I did do a double check. I made sure that to connect directly to the AI Mesh node, it has the same main Wi-Fi name, just with a 2 at the end of it, to make sure that I'm getting the optimal speeds here. So this is Wi-Fi 6. The laptop and the AI Mesh node are both Wi-Fi 6. And looks like we're getting 15 megabytes per second. I was hoping for a little bit faster than that. I was hoping it would be close to 100. I'm wondering if this is having to connect back to the main router, or if this is just as fast as the AI Mesh node that I have. It's an older Wi-Fi 6 can go. All right, I'm going to stop the test here, and I'm going to connect it to the Wi-Fi of the main router and see what kind of speeds we get. See you in a second. All right, now we're on the network, I think directly connected to the main router. And we're seeing very similar speeds, around 40 to 50 megabytes per second. I saw a spike to 60, but 40 to 50. So we're going to let this run for a couple more seconds, and then I'm going to stop it, and we're going to try connecting it to one more of the Wi-Fi networks before we move over and do the next test. All right, in this last test, I'm using the last band of the Wi-Fi that I have. So my old router, now AI Mesh node, has 3 bands of Wi-Fi. One is a 2x2, the other is a 4x4, both in the 5 gigahertz range, and then the 2.4. The 2.4 isn't really worth testing, so now I'm testing the other Wi-Fi. I don't remember which one's which, how I have them labeled for it. So I just wanted to cover all my bases and test every single one to see how it was doing. And this one appears to be the weakest. So this might be the 2x2 band, or it might be connecting some other way via Wi-Fi. And so it gives us a good idea of the different speeds that we get. All right, next we're going to be testing the router via the, the main router connecting to the AI Mesh node, then to the NAS. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, the last test. Here is my main router. It's got a 10 gig connection, or a 5 gig connection over to my laptop. via that cable. And all right, here we are in it. So this would be a 5 gig connection to my main router, AI mesh over to the mesh node, and then connected to the NAS via link aggregation. So let's see what kind of speeds we're getting. Again, this is a hardwired 5 gig connection to my my router, and Wi-Fi air mesh Wi-Fi to the Wi-Fi backhaul to the mesh node, because I wanted to see how much bandwidth or how fast I could get a connection. So if I wanted to put the mesh node in my basement to have a second or my primary router, or not router, NAS down there, to keep my storage safer than just having it sitting in my office space. But it looks like the speeds are not as good as I was expecting. I was hoping to get at least 50 megabytes per second, like I was seeing directly connected to the NAS via the AI mesh node LAN connection. The reason I would want to put in the basement is, again, protected from fire, etc. I'm situated on higher land, so flooding of my basement isn't really a concern. But yeah, this concludes the test. I have a couple more thoughts in my conclusion area. So let's get on to that. All right, very last test. So router, 10 gig connection to my NAS, and router via Wi-Fi 6 to my laptop sitting right next to it. So this is sort of the maximum speed that I can get via Wi-Fi to my router. Lifting up my laptop just a little bit to make sure it gets plenty of ventilation. So around 70. If I change my network, we should see it drop for a moment, just in case one of them is not supremely optimal. So we'll see it drop. Okay, new different band Wi-Fi connected. And new Wi-Fi connected, and looks like we're getting completely abysmal speeds. I have no idea why. Connecting back to the other one. And yep, the speeds have resumed. So around 15 megabytes per second. I'm pretty sure I got faster speeds on my other laptop, but this gives you a good ballpark number of kind of performance you're going to get, and we're just a few feet away from the router itself. So I wanted to show I'm not completely crazy. So I'm on Wi-Fi, and this is my other laptop. I'm nearly getting gigabyte speeds via Wi-Fi. So you can get pretty good speeds via Wi-Fi in the same room to a Wi-Fi 6 router. A little backstory. This video came about because of this right there. It says that the upload link or uplink type is 2.4 gigahertz, despite in the management saying I want to use the 5 gigahertz range to get the optimal speed. And I really wanted to see the effects of using the AI mesh node, connecting devices through it, and how it relates to the main one. And if I were to put this in the basement with my router, how fast my connection would be. So this would be sitting in the basement with my router, or I'm sorry, my NAS hooked up to it, so that I could have a backup solution essentially in my basement that would be more protected from like fire. So it'd be a better backup solution. And I really wanted to see what kind of speed I would get out of it. And I couldn't really find any information online, so I decided to test it myself. All right, final conclusion. The AI mesh node certainly is a good feature. However, the performance is a little lackluster in my opinion. at least via backhaul Wi-Fi. Despite me having it connected for the backhaul at the 5 gigahertz range, and it's sitting maybe 50 feet away from the main router, it's just not getting the performance that I was really hoping for. I really wanted it to be closer to 50 megabytes per second, and as opposed to this 12, 13 that we're seeing right now. And again, this is a hardline connection to the router and then backhaul Wi-Fi to the main one. That's not to say that AI mesh doesn't have its use. It certainly extends your Wi-Fi across your household fairly well, but anything connected via the node is basically just to give you an internet connection. It won't like give you gaming or anything like that. So wherever you want to game, you need your main router hooked up close. If you just need a network connection for printers and laptops to watch YouTube videos, the AI mesh node appears to do just fine. I would have no concerns streaming my content on my NAS to a laptop via the AI mesh node, but it just would not be fast enough for a backup solution or main access to the internet. Basically, that is speed sensitive. That's just my thoughts. If you have other input on the AI mesh node, if I set it up wrong, I'd love to see in the comments below to optimize the setup. I hit optimize in the Asus software, and this is basically the result. So again, if you're an expert on this, I'd love to improve my setup if there's any way to do that over the Wi-Fi. Otherwise, this is what it is, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more content and have a great day.